It's hard to overstate what a game-changing appointment Antonio Conte is for Spurs. One of the 5 best managers in the world, the Italian has won titles with Juventus, Inter and Chelsea and overperformed in every job he's ever held, so Tottenham fans can once again dream of challenging the continent's super clubs. However, the squad needs work, and it's likely to get it. Having turned down the job in the summer and seen Nuno Espirito Santo's dismal showing since, Conte must have received assurances that there'll be money to spend on improving the side, and though 9 of the players who made the squad for the 2019 Champions League final remain at White Hart Lane, the defence has almost entirely aged out, while the midfield has never made good on the promise of its individuals. So where should Conte focus his spending in the January window? How can he make the most of his lethal front two, and how can we use his Inter side as a blueprint for his Tottenham rebuild? On today's Scout Report, we're working up a Spurs shopping list. Centre-back. While the common view of Conte as defensive is not entirely accurate, it's hard to imagine that the Italian won't look at the Spurs backline and take a hammer to the piggy bank. Spurs scored 68 goals in 2020-21, more than in 25 of the other 28 Premier League campaigns they featured in, but still took just 62 points, their second worst performance since 2009. And that's largely because the defence has declined. They allowed 45 league goals last season, not awful but down from a peak of just 26 4 years earlier, and XG was even harsher on the Lily Whites backline, suggesting they should have let in 53, only good for 11th in the Prem. So a centre-half is in order, and with Conte seeming to prefer the 3-5-2 he used at Inter to the Chelsea 3-4-3 in his fledgling Tottenham career, we can use the Nerazzurri's stats to profile what he might want from a signing. Firstly, his defenders last season were not hugely active, thanks to protection in midfield. Among the regular starters, Skriniar made the most tackles and interceptions of all Inter CBs, with 2.6 a game, and he, De Vrij and Bastoni all made under 10 pressures a match too. Instead of charging out of the backline, they dropped deep and mopped up anything that came through, all coming out well in one-on-ones, winning over half the tackles they attempted. Those 3 defenders also dominated opponents in the air, averaging 62% duel success between them, and they were competent in distribution, De Vrij and Bastoni completing over 10 long balls a match each, while Bastoni and Skriniar got the ball into the final third 10 times between them per game. It wouldn't be shocking if Conte moved for Skriniar himself, whom Spurs have previously attempted to sign, but the Slovakian prefers to play on the right of a back three, where Conte could experiment with Emerson Royal. So instead he may be tempted to scope out the market, which is full of CBs with expiring contracts, not least Toni Rudiger, who joined Chelsea in Conte's second summer at the club in 2017 and has since excelled as a left-sided defender. However, with Bayern and Real Madrid both reportedly circling the German, even Conte will struggle to tempt him to White Hart Lane. So instead, he could target compatriot Niklas Sule, who, like Rudiger, is coming to the end of his contract and could therefore please both the coach and chairman Daniel Levy. At 26 years old and 6'5", Sule ticks the box marked physical presence, and his experience featuring in both back fours and back threes would give Conte some flexibility as he works out the best configuration for Tottenham's talent. That experience also makes him a highly effective defender, with 50% of his challenges on dribblers seeing him come away with the ball, a number which may not sound high, but which would rank behind only Christian Romero among Spurs centre-backs. And, unlike Romero, he's not prone to rashness, committing a foul just once every 3 games last season, despite making over 3 defensive actions per appearance. He'd also add some of the passing range missing from Tottenham since Alderweireld's departure. With 6 passes into the final third per 90, he outranks Rudiger, and in 2020-21, he racked up a massive 11 long balls a game at a staggering 81% accuracy, not far off the 85% Eric Dyer managed on all his passes, long and short, last season. He can carry the ball forward too, doing so 6 times a game at present, and as you'd expect given his size, he can brush attackers off in the air, with a 70% aerial win rate. In fact, the only problem with his stats comes in the games played column, where his patchy fitness has seen him miss over a third of Bundesliga matches over the last 5 seasons. Still, Sule at his best is world class, he's available at a discount, and he's a proven champion, with 4 titles and a Champions League to his name. If Tottenham want to step up to the next level without spending a fortune, they'll need to take some calculated gambles, and the combination of one of the world's best managers and most talented centre-backs is worth a roll of the dice. Centre mid. Generally, Conte prefers a small squad. Last season, Inter used just 25 players in the league, fewer than any other Italian club, while his 24 in the title-winning 16-17 campaign at Chelsea was more than only West Brom and Liverpool. In fact, the only place Conte routinely chopped and changed in Inter's Scudetto run was in midfield, where the ever-present Nicolo Barella and Marcelo Brozovic were supplemented by one of the club's second-rank contributors, Arturo Vidal, Stefano Sensi, Eriksen and Gagliardini. That meant that no matter the third player, there was always a degree of stability. But Conte will not have the same luxury at Spurs, with Ndombele missing 30%, Lo Celso missing 40% and Dele Alli missing 45% of the available league games since 2019. So a consistent contributor in the centre is a likely priority for Conte, and with Ali, Ndombele and Lo Celso all comfortable higher up the field, he could remake Højbjerg as a dedicated destroyer and target a quality distributor. At Inter, both Brozovic and Barella managed 7 progressive passes a game, but the best mark at Spurs is Moura's 4.7, while no one can hold a candle to the Croatian's incredible 8 final third entries per 90. Brozovic himself could be an option here, with a contract expiring next summer, but as a key contributor on a side tipped for another title, he's unlikely to fancy a winter change. Leandro Paredes likewise might choose to stay put. So our pick is the less obvious Youri Tielemans, who's going from strength to strength on a Leicester side struggling for form. In some ways, it's an odd choice. Tielemans is hardly a conventional deep-lying playmaker, and he doesn't seem like a traditional Conte acquisition either. But the Italian is not always against youngsters, signing Barella at 22 and Hakimi at 21, and Tielemans, now 24, has plenty of experience under his belt, with 8 full seasons in top-flight football and 22 appearances in the Champions League, more than George Weah or Tony Adams ever made, and just 1 fewer than Paul Pogba. He's also tough as nails, having missed only 1 league game in 2 years, and when it comes to passing, there can be few quibbles about his ability. With 6 final third entries per 90, he's not far off Brozovic's mark, and he's constantly moving the ball forward, with a massive 7.8 progressive passes per game, placing him in the top 1% of midfielders. He even creates chances from deep, playing 2 key passes a game, and he's the hub of everything that happens at Leicester, with no Foxes player more often the target of a teammate's pass than him. Off the ball, it's not quite as rosy. 15 pressures and 2.5 defensive actions per 90 are middling numbers, but the Belgian has previously won possession more, and his decline in this area seems to be a product of a more offensive role, yielding 10 goal involvements in the league last season, the same as Barella, and 5 in 10 to kickstart the current campaign. As a consequence, Tielemans' value is placed at £50 million by Transfermarkt, but he's only got 18 months left on a deal he apparently refuses to renew, meaning 40 million might get it done. If Spurs mean business, he'd be a smart target. Winger. Son and Kane make as good a pair as any in the Premier League, but while they'll surely play every minute they can under Conte, the attack needs depth. Steven Bergwijn has never impressed in London, Lucas Moura could be destined for a Victor Moses-like conversion to wingback, and Bryan Gil remains raw. So we predict a wide man with pedigree will be the last item on the January hit list. Previously, Conte has brought in Alexis Sanchez at Inter and Pedro at Chelsea, so it seems fairly clear what he wants. Someone who can begin moves and end them, tracking back to win possession before breaking into the box to slot away loose balls. Levy, however, is unlikely to sanction big money for a veteran. Of Tottenham's last 10 outfield signings, only 1 was over 25, Matt Doherty. So the chairman will need to balance Conte's desire for experience and proven quality with the long-term health of the squad. Fortunately, a compromise could be reached in the form of Angel Correa. The Argentinian is only 26, but is in his 7th season with Atletico Madrid, and after years of promise, is now finally demonstrating his quality. Last year, as the Rojiblancos won La Liga, Correa was one of their most important players, delivering 17 goals and assists in league play to trail only Llorente and Suarez in the Atleti squad. And this season he seems to have gone up another level, hitting the best expected goals numbers of his career and notching 6 goal involvements after 8 appearances. With 2.3 shots and 1.5 key passes a game, the only Spurs player to outstrip Correa in both categories is Son. And as you'd expect from a player built by Simeone, the attacker is just as effective off the ball. Across his time in the Spanish capital, he's made over 20 pressures per 90, better than every Tottenham attacker, and when his team regains possession, he's excellent at finding space to receive through balls, getting on the end of 10 progressive passes a match, placing him in the top 10% of forwards. Also completing a couple of dribbles each game, Correa is a solid passer, defender, ball progressor and goal threat, with a major trophy under his belt and an apprenticeship under a manager who, like Conte, loves to instill a siege mentality in his squad. At worst, a good contributor, at best a potential superstar, Correa could be the missing piece to lock up a return to the Champions League. So those are our shouts for Tottenham's first 3 signings under Antonio Conte, but do you have a different opinion? Who else could he target? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, drop us a like and subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and you'll never miss a video. We'll see you next time.